Because if you are not here to awaken, if you are not here to shed, if you are not here to change and die, then why are you here? I know why you're here. You're here so you can go home and tell your partner they are doing it all wrong. Yes, you're taking notes and you're recording so you can go tell your mother-in-law, you see what you've done and who I live with? You're not here for that, yes? You are here to examine yourself. So if anyone knows my work, they know that I can be a little provocative, yes? What am I provoking? I'm provoking a change, but I'm pushing against something in you. What do you think I'm pushing against? Your identity, your rigidity, your stuckness, your idea that you are right. So at the end of this day, when you go home and you go with the sense that you know nothing, then we have done our job. So if you go home thinking, wow, I can't believe I'm such a conscious parent. I can't believe my child is so lucky to have me. Then you haven't really learned anything, okay? So what I'm inviting you to do is to die. A part of you must die in order to awaken. This is the price you pay if you want to live a new life. You have to let go an old part of you. This is the price you pay for the prize of a new life, a new self, a new birth. This is the invitation. This is the challenge. Okay, so how many of you had to drag your husbands to be here? You can raise your hand. The husbands, how many of you were dragged? Threatened at gunpoint. Yeah, see, brave. He's so brave. He's so brave. She's got him with handcuffs. You can't see them. Well, I'm very proud when I see the male species here because it's rare. But the reason it's rare is not because they are bad, only just a little bit, yes? They're not really. They're just unconscious because our culture is male-dominated. Let's go to the beginning. When you became a parent, especially us women, we had a fantasy. And the fantasy was that you will have a particular kind of child. So we all had fantasies of who our children should be. All of us did. And this is one of the most harsh and difficult truths for us to swallow, is that most of us had children in order to have a nice child, a famous child, a rich child. So why did we have that fantasy? Why? So that we could be happy and feel good and go back to our parents and to culture and say, see, I wasn't such a loser. Look, I actually turned out okay. We use our children as the brand, as the ambassador, as the logo, as the trophy, so that we can feel finally as if we are worthy. How many of you here were foolish enough to have more than 3 children? Oh my goodness. What were you thinking? I know what you were thinking. You were thinking, I had child number 1. Child number 1 is already a problem child, a loser. Let me have child number 2. Child number 2 is not enough and is still not showing any signs of anything great. And then you keep having more children because now you're just crazy. So we have this fantasy and we start this journey wrong. We start this journey with an idea that this child is going to help me check off my list. And the list is not just have a child. The list is have a smart child, good child, obedient child, good-looking child, a skinny child, a child that can be rich, a child that can be famous, a child that I can post on Facebook about, a child that I can feel proud of. My child, who is going to be an extension of me. We start the journey wrong. And then, by the age of 2 and 4 and 7, when your child is showing no signs of becoming a genius ever, and after you've regretted, and after you've yelled at your husband for his genes, then what? Then you compromise and go, okay, I'll just deal with this child. These are subconscious thoughts, yes? These are not conscious thoughts. These are not things you will say to your friends at a party. Inside you, you're like, why is my child the only loser in the school? Why is my child the only child who cannot say please and thank you, who looks the way they do, who isn't a genius? You don't say this out loud, but you're constantly comparing yourself. How many of you drop your children at school and compare yourself to the other mothers? Don't you just hate those mothers who show up like this? Right? You're like, what the hell? When did they get up? And then you think, oh, it's because their children are really good children. Not like my bloody child, who I have to wake up 1,500 times in the morning. And not like my husband, who snores and keeps me up at night. And now you're comparing yourself to everyone else and feeling like you are the only one with this problem. Let me tell you, and this is why being a therapist has a positive, because I get to see how messed up everybody else is. I always leave a session feeling amazing about myself. I go kiss my child. Thank you for not being an addict today. So this comparison, this sense of insecurity, this projection on our children that they are the problem, is the problem. So let me ask you, if you can be honest, just yell out, what are some of the greatest problems you have with your children? Like, what kinds of things really trigger you? What things? When they're stubborn. Anyone here have a stubborn child? How dare they be stubborn? What else? What? Screaming children. Anyone here has a screaming child? What else? What? Fighting, sibling rivalry. How many of you have children who fight with each other? Don't they know that the only reason you gave them a sibling is for them? Don't they know that you endured having more children so they could be happy? So that they could have somebody to live with when you die? You did all this. You had 2 children, 3 children for them. And then all they do is scream at each other. Because children are ungrateful. They are ungrateful. Why else do you get triggered by your children? They lie? Who here has a lying child? Wow, you must be doing something so wrong to have a lying child? Because none of us adults ever lie. So you must be doing something really wrong. I want you to feel really bad about yourself, that your child lies. None of us here ever lie. So you are doing something wrong. If you have a lying child, you're doing something wrong. What else? What? Postponing? You mean like procrastinating? Yeah, you know, like what we never do, never ever. We hold things off, we put things off, like none of us. What else? They don't study enough, like none of us, right? So look at the things you're triggered by, yes? As if you're on this mountaintop of righteous angelhood. Yes, we are the angels. Oh, my kid, she's sitting right here, yes? My kid doesn't study enough, right? We are all like that, yes? Because as if we were running into our schools going, teacher, teacher, give me more homework, right? As if we never lied, as if we never procrastinated, as if we are not stubborn, yes? So look at the delusion. Who do we think we are? No, we really live as if we're somebody else. And because we think we're somebody else, we keep waiting for our children to become somebody else. We are all living in a false illusion. Because each one of us talks to our children as if we are, no offense, Jesus or the female Jesus. Yes? Oh, look what all I've done for you. You are so ungrateful. I left my village and I came to the city to get a job. I gave up my job as a ballerina. I was going to be an opera singer. I gave it all up. Look what I did to my body. I'm not this fat. I did this because of you and your sister and your brother. Look what I've done to myself. We have this idea that we are sacrificing, that we are giving something to these children from the mountaintop of angelhood, godhood. We are the gods from there. And we are here to rescue these children. Because when we were pregnant, somewhere in a dream, we heard an echo of our child's voice saying, rescue me, rescue me. I'm in hell right now, rescue me. And so we're like, yes, I'm coming to rescue you. Yes, we are in a movie. We're in some movie. Trying to raise the next Michael Phelps, the next Julia Roberts, and waiting. We're like, are you going to be something? Something tomorrow? Let's wait till tomorrow. And 18 years pass, and your child is just average. You're lucky if they're just average and not in jail, yes? And you're like, oh my goodness, how do I have an average child? How did an average child come from me? Me, a special person like me. So we are parenting out of ego. That is what is called parenting out of ego. What is the ego? The ego is the false self, the inauthentic self that you think you are, but oh my goodness, you are not. But you don't want to let go of your ego because your ego keeps you feeling like you're amazing in the world. Can you imagine leaving Dr. Shefali's conference? What did you learn today? You're going to learn, my goodness, I'm not amazing. So you may think that's a really terrible message. What a horrible lady. Why did they invite her? I had good self-esteem before I walked in. I'm leaving with a shitty self-esteem. Please don't call her again. My job here is not to make you feel bad. My job here is to make you feel real, like a real human being. And to see that in your realness, in your limitations, in your stubbornness, in your not listening, in your idea that you are God, you are actually so human. And the more you accept your humanity and your limitations, and that yes, you lose your temper, and yes, you are manipulative, and yes, when you tell your child, oh, I love curly hair. Do you want to curl your hair? You will look so nice with curly hair. Is you manipulating your child? And when you tell your child, oh, if you're a scientist, when they're sleeping, you whisper, hoping that their brain waves will change. Be a scientist, be a scientist. Tomorrow when you get up, be a scientist. To be a scientist and to be a doctor and to save people's lives. And you subliminally, every time you go to the hospital and to the doctor, you go, wow, doctors are amazing. You don't have to be a doctor, but I think doctors are amazing. And when your child says, no, I want to be a potter, to do pottery, and then suddenly you take out all the plants from your house, and you're like, why would you like to be a potter? You can be a potter when you're, doing nothing on a Sunday, but a doctor? And we manipulate our children, and we try to, like a potter, we try to carve them into the sculpture that we want them to be. But that is creating in our children a dissociation from who it is they are. So, If you want to raise a child who knows who it is they are, you have to become a parent who is real, authentic, who is willing to see in the mirror who it is they are. Now, every one of you here today thinks you know who you are. Most likely, you don't. Why? Because most of us live in the false self, the self of the ego, the self that your parents made you, just like you are making your children, into an image of who they want you to be. Most of us are images of who our parents and culture want us to be. Very few of us, and none of us, until we go through a radical awakening, are truly who we are authentically. We don't even know who we are authentically. So to be a conscious parent then is not just to be a nice parent and not just to understand that you can't hit your children, because now we understand, yes, don't hit. You know, maybe if you pinch them behind the knee where no one can see, that's okay. But we all know don't hit your children, yes? We know that. But that's not what it means to be a conscious parent. To be a conscious parent means to become conscious of your raging, huge, godlike ego. Then, when you are willing to see the snake of your ego and see how your ego lies to you, how you show up in the world is your false self, because you've not accepted who you are, limited, with failures, with mistakes, average, ordinary, until you can be okay with that in your body. Only then will you set your children free. Because as long as you are living with the mask that culture wants you to live with, as long as you are living a lie, you will keep lying to your children.